In American politics today, there's this kind of woke idea that people should be rewarded or punished for the sins of their ancestors. For example, they would say that me, being a white person, I should be punished because this country is built upon white supremacy or racism or something like that, and therefore I need to be punished for what my ancestors' evil deeds were. But I think biblically there's a strong case to push back against this. It's this idea that we should not be punished or rewarded for what our ancestors, if they were bad or good. So let's dig into that a little bit, because regardless of what you believe politically, we want to agree with the Bible biblically. That way we agree with God. Oftentimes when I read through scripture, I tell people that if you're reading the Bible and it doesn't offend you, then you're reading it wrong. The Bible is supposed to offend the sin that is within you. And in Ezekiel 19:19, it says, "Doesn't the child pay for the parent's sin? No. For if the child does what is just and right and keeps my decrees, the child will surely live. The person who sins is the one who will die. The child will not be punished for the parent's sin, and the parent will not be punished for the child's sins. Righteous people will be rewarded for their own righteous behavior, and the wicked people will be punished for their own wickedness." This is a really important part of Scripture that we see throughout a lot of the Old Testament, even into the New Testament, is that people are not punished for the sins of their parents. This was actually a pagan idea that if you go back and you look at ancestral worship, that still happens today. People also often think that if they pray and honor their ancestors, then their ancestors will bless them. In our modern culture, we kind of twisted that original idea a little bit, and it's now if your ancestors were kind of the top of society, then therefore you should be punished because they hurt other people then. But if your ancestors were victimized, then you should be rewarded to account for their victimization. But what the Bible here is saying is that, look, your life is determined based off what you do. And it goes through the whole chapter 19 goes through, if you're a good person and you do good things, then that's where blessings of God will come from. If you're a bad person and you do bad things, that's where curses will come from. Don't get this mixed up with salvation. We're saved by grace through faith so that no one can boast. But if we are walking in wickedness, if we're walking in sin every day, if our life is full of evilness, then God's not going to come in the middle of that and bless it. It's up to us and on whether or not we want to choose to walk with the Lord every day and be pursuing Him. That's what the Bible here is teaching us, that it's not based on, that our life is not based on purely what our parents did. Now, our parents can have a big role in it. My parents brought me to church. Other people's parents didn't do that. But at the end of the day, our life, when we stand before God, we'll be judged for our sin, and we're not going to be rewarded or judged for the sins of our parents. I think this applies to us today. If we get away from ancestral worship, and yes, history does matter. Bad things that people did in history affect even to today. But at the end of the day, we have to be aware that God is going to judge us for what we do in our life. And we're not going to be exempt if our parents or our grandparents or our great whatever had a hard time. At the end of the day, it's on us, on how we choose to live and if we're walking with God or not. I hope this gives you a little bit of clarity and hopefully challenges you to think more biblically about this topic. If it did, leave a like on this video. It really does help the channel. And I'll see you back here later as we continue to read through Scripture together.